contamination recalls, undisclosed sourcing fraud, and milk from cows that never touched a pasture, all hiding behind the most trusted seal in American food, the USDA Organic label. But pour the wrong glass, and what you're really drinking is hormone-disrupted milk from confined mega-dairies, stripped of the omega-3s and enzymes your body actually needs, dressed up as clean, wholesome nutrition. If this has been your go-to brand for 10, 20, 30 years, everything we found has been in your body that entire time. The label said organic. The lab results say otherwise. Today, we're breaking down 9 organic milk brands that failed to deliver on their promises, including 2 most people consider the gold standard, plus the 4 brands that actually tested clean and transparent. The number 1 spot is a brand caught in one of the most brazen fraud scandals in organic dairy history. Coming in at number 9, Shamrock Farms Organic, a name that sounds like green pastures and honest farming. Shamrock has been an Arizona institution for decades, positioning itself as a family dairy, bringing wholesome organic milk to southwestern tables. The reality behind that friendly clover logo is something else entirely. Shamrock operates one of the largest dairy operations in the entire country. We're talking thousands of cows on an industrial-scale facility that environmental groups have repeatedly flagged for runoff and waste management problems. When your organic dairy produces the same waste concerns as a conventional feedlot, something has gone fundamentally wrong. Open a carton of Shamrock Organic. Look at the color. That pale, almost bluish white. Compare it to genuine pasture-raised milk, which carries a rich, warm, golden hue from beta-carotene in grass. The difference is visible because the difference is real. Cows eating diverse pasture grasses produce milk with a completely different nutritional profile than cows eating organic grain in confinement. The fatty acid ratio tells the story. Industrial-scale organic operations consistently produce milk with higher omega-6 to omega-3 ratios. That imbalance promotes exactly the kind of chronic inflammation that drives hypertension, joint pain, and cardiovascular disease. For anyone managing blood pressure on daily medication, or families who switched to organic to reduce inflammation, that elevated omega-6 ratio is working against the very health goals that made you reach for organic in the first place. Shamrock charges organic prices for industrial-scale production. A green label on a factory operation. The clover on the carton. The feedlot behind the fence. The Arizona sun beating down on concrete, not pasture. That's not organic farming. That's organic branding. At number 8, we have Silk Organic Milk. Most people know Silk for their plant-based products, and that reputation for clean, health-conscious living is exactly why the organic milk line sells so well. You see the Silk name. You think purity and simplicity. You trust it without question. But Silk is owned by Danone, a multinational food conglomerate with annual revenue exceeding $27 billion. And sourcing audits have revealed something troubling about their organic milk supply chain. Milk from multiple large-scale operations gets commingled during processing. Different farms, different practices, different levels of compliance, all mixed into one carton with one clean label. True traceability becomes nearly impossible when milk from a dozen operations blends together in a single processing plant. You cannot verify which farm your milk came from. You cannot confirm what those specific cows ate. You cannot know whether the organic practices at every source farm met the standards printed on your carton. Pour a glass of Silk Organic and you have no idea whose cows produced it. For anyone managing cholesterol with daily statins, or people who switch to organic specifically to avoid synthetic residues that interfere with medication absorption, the lack of verified single-source traceability means you're trusting a corporation's word instead of verified science. Danone could invest in full supply chain transparency. They could publish sourcing audits. They have 27 billion reasons to do it right. They choose not to. Because traceability costs money and your trust is free. 27 billion in revenue. Zero transparency for the consumer. A plant-based reputation. A dairy industry supply chain. One name doing the work of 2 very different realities. If a brand backed by billions can't guarantee traceability, surely the beloved farmer-owned cooperative does better, right? Wrong. Number 7. Organic Valley single-serve lines. This one hurts because Organic Valley genuinely started as something good. A farmer-owned cooperative where small family farms pooled resources to compete with industrial dairy. The mission was real, The problem is specific. Their single-serve and ultra-pasteurized product lines undergo UHT processing, ultra-high temperature treatment that blasts milk to 280 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. That extreme heat doesn't just kill bacteria, it degrades heat-sensitive vitamins, particularly B12 and folate, the same nutrients your body needs to prevent anemia and protect neurological function. Some lots from these product lines have also been flagged for elevated somatic cell counts, a clinical indicator of udder infections in the source herds. High somatic cell counts mean the cows producing that milk were fighting mastitis. Infection in the milk supply, sterilized by extreme heat, sold to your family as convenience. Pour a glass of the ultra-pasteurized single serve. Notice the taste. That slightly cooked, almost caramelized flatness. That's the signature of UHT processing, the flavor of nutrients being destroyed. Compare it to gently pasteurized milk from the same cooperative, and you can taste the difference immediately. One tastes alive, the other tastes sterilized. For anyone depending on dietary B12 to prevent cognitive decline, or families grabbing single-serve cartons for convenience at the grocery store, consistently choosing these ultra-processed formats can contribute to the very deficiencies you're drinking milk to prevent. The cooperative is real, the small farm mission is real. But the processing pipeline betrays the promise. Good intentions. Bad processing. Your vitamins pay the price. Think you've been making the smart choice by paying more? Wait until you see what premium really means. Number 6. Stonyfield Organic Milk. Pioneer of the organic dairy movement. One of the first brands to promise milk free from antibiotics, synthetic hormones, and pesticides. That promise built an empire. Then independent testing told a different story. Some Stonyfield products have been found to contain trace levels of pesticide residues. The company's explanation points to contaminated feed or environmental drift, pesticides floating from neighboring conventional farms onto organic pastures. Drift. As if poison is just weather. As if contamination is something that simply happens to organic farms. Here's the problem with trace levels. Regulatory agencies set acceptable limits for individual chemicals. But those limits were designed for single exposures, not daily consumption over decades. A trace amount in your morning glass repeated 365 days a year, for 10 or 20 years, is no longer a trace. It's an accumulation. Smell the milk when you open the carton. Fresh pasture-raised organic milk has a clean, sweet, almost grassy aroma. If yours smells flat, neutral, industrial, that's the signature of milk from cows whose diet and environment lack the diversity that real organic farming demands. For anyone with compromised kidney function who switched to organic to reduce chemical burden, or people taking daily medications that stress the renal system, cumulative pesticide exposure has been linked in studies to accelerated kidney decline. Those trace amounts matter more than Stonyfield's marketing ever admits. Pioneer of organic. Trace amounts of the very chemicals organic is supposed to eliminate. That's not a trace. That's a betrayal of every customer who paid extra for purity. Drop a comment if Stonyfield is sitting in your fridge right now. Let's see how many of us have been paying premium prices for pesticide traces. See the pattern? Premium brands hide behind heritage. Family brands hide behind mission statements. So where does that leave the budget labels? Let's find out. Number 5. Great Value Organic from Walmart. The trusted USDA Organic seal at Walmart's famously low prices. For budget-conscious shoppers, retirees stretching fixed incomes, anyone who wants organic without the premium markup, Great Value Organic looks like the answer. But the question you should be asking is, how does Walmart sell organic milk for less than almost everyone else? The answer involves a name we'll hear again on this list. Much of Great Value Organic milk has historically been supplied by Aurora Organic Dairy, the same operation cited by the USDA for serious pasture violations. The same company that was formerly accused of willfully breaking the rules that define what organic means. The low price isn't efficiency. It's corner cutting at the farm level, passed along to your carton as savings. Organic in name, conventional in practice, discount in quality. That's the math behind the low price tag. Pour a glass and hold it up to the light. Genuine pasture-raised organic milk has a richness, a density, a slight golden warmth. Confinement-sourced milk looks thinner, paler, less substantial. The visual difference reflects the nutritional gap beneath the surface. Milk from grain-fed confined cows carries a less favorable fatty acid profile, lower omega-3s, Lower CLA. Fewer of the anti-inflammatory compounds that justify the organic premium. For anyone on blood thinning or cholesterol medications who switch to organic for the anti-inflammatory benefits, or families buying organic to give their kids a nutritional advantage, the diminished nutrient density means you're paying for a label without receiving what the label promises. You saved $2. You lost the reason you went organic. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It's free, and it means you'll never miss these exposés. The next brand on this list sits in almost every Costco household in America. And what's hiding behind that trusted Kirkland label will change how you shop. Number 4. Kirkland Signature Organic from Costco. The bulk buy. The family-size gallon, the brand that millions of Costco members grab every single week because the Kirkland name means quality at a fair price. Except when it doesn't. Like Walmart's offering, Kirkland organic milk has been sourced in part from large-scale suppliers flagged for inadequate pasture practices. The cows producing this milk didn't roam the green fields the organic label conjures in your imagination. They stood in confinement. And then there's the processing. Ultra-pasteurized at extreme temperatures, the same UHT treatment that strips beneficial enzymes and reduces bioavailable calcium. The calcium is technically still in the milk, but the enzymes that help your body absorb it efficiently have been destroyed by heat. Open a carton. That extended shelf life stamped on the package, lasting weeks longer than regular milk. That's not freshness. That's the signature of ultra-pasteurization. Milk that lasts that long on the shelf has been cooked into submission. Everything alive in it, the enzymes, the beneficial bacteria, the heat-sensitive nutrients, has been sterilized out of existence. For anyone actively fighting osteoporosis who drinks milk specifically for calcium, or families buying the bulk gallon thinking they're investing in their children's bone health, reduced calcium bioavailability combined with enzyme destruction means this milk may not be delivering the bone protective benefits you're counting on. You bought the big jug. You trusted the big name. The quantity was right. The quality wasn't. Costco sells everything bigger, including the gap between what's promised and what's delivered. That was bad. But the next brand on this list makes Kirkland look almost honest. Number 3, Horizon Organic. This is the big one. One of the most recognized organic milk brands in America. The juice boxes in school lunchboxes. The carton at every grocery store in every state. The name that introduced millions of families to organic dairy. Trusted for over 2 decades and criticized for nearly as long. Horizon has faced repeated scrutiny from the USDA itself and from consumer watchdog organizations for sourcing from industrial-scale mega-dairies. We're talking operations with thousands of cows where pasture access is limited at best, non-existent at worst. These aren't the small family farms the organic label makes you picture. These are factory operations that happen to use organic feed. The spirit of organic standards requires meaningful pasture time. Cows that graze on diverse grasses produce milk with measurably higher omega-3 fatty acids and CLA. Confined cows fed organic grain in feedlot conditions produce milk that technically meets the minimum letter of the law while gutting its nutritional intent. Hold the two side by side. Genuine pasture-raised milk versus Horizon's product. The color difference alone is striking. The flavor difference is undeniable. One tastes like milk from healthy cows eating what cows are supposed to eat. The other tastes like a legal technicality. Horizon is owned by Danone, the same multinational behind Silk. That's a pattern worth noting. Corporate consolidation doesn't improve quality. It improves efficiency. Your nutrition is the cost of that efficiency. For anyone who's relied on omega-3s from their morning milk to support heart health, or people who chose Horizon specifically because the brand felt safe for their children, the reliance on confined mega-dairy sourcing means lower levels of exactly the heart protective compounds your cardiovascular system needs most. 2 decades of trust. 2 decades of the bare minimum dressed as the gold standard. This next one has a loyal following that swears by it. What the USDA investigation revealed is a very different story. Number 2. Aurora Organic Dairy. You may not recognize the name, but you've almost certainly drunk their milk. Aurora is the ghost behind the label. They supply store-brand organic milk to Walmart, Costco, Target, and other major retailers. Millions of shoppers buying private label organic cartons, trusting the USDA seal, had no idea their milk came from Aurora. In 2007, the USDA filed a formal complaint against Aurora for willful violations of organic pasture requirements. Not accidental, not minor. Willful. The agency accused Aurora of deliberately failing to provide cows with adequate pasture access, the single most defining requirement of organic dairy farming. Subsequent investigations revealed operations housing thousands of cows with minimal grazing time. These were industrial confinement operations stamping organic on the carton and charging organic prices. The cows didn't graze. The label said they did. Aurora paid the price on paper, but the damage was already done to every family that trusted them. Years of milk from confined, grain-fed cows sold as organic to households who trusted every word on the package. The nutritional consequences are measurable. Milk from grain-fed confined cows has a less favorable fatty acid profile, higher omega-6 ratios, lower CLA, a composition that research suggests may worsen insulin resistance compared to genuine pasture-raised milk. For anyone managing diabetes or pre-diabetes who switched to organic for a healthier fat profile, or families paying the organic premium because they believed it meant something real, Aurora proved that the seal can be stamped on a lie. The USDA knew. They filed the complaint. Aurora kept supplying. The stores kept selling. The ghost behind the label. The fraud inside the seal. Check your fridge. If your store brand organic milk comes from a mega supplier, what I'm about to reveal at number 1 changes everything you thought you knew about organic trust. Number 1. Natural Prairie Organic. This is the worst kind of betrayal on this list. Not corner cutting. Not bending the rules. Not exploiting loopholes. Outright fraud. Natural Prairie branded itself as a premium small farm organic milk. The packaging was rustic, pastoral, evoking images of traditional heartland dairying. Red barns, open fields, the kind of farm you'd want your milk to come from. Behind that packaging was a supply chain fraud investigation that exposed one of the most egregious violations in the organic dairy industry. Conventional milk, the regular non-organic product treated with synthetic hormones and antibiotics, was allegedly relabeled and sold as organic. Not blended, not partially substituted. Conventional milk wearing an organic costume at an organic price. Every premium dollar you spent was paying for a complete fiction. The rustic label, the heartland promise, the organic seal on a product that may have been conventional all along. Think about what that means for your body. You switched to organic milk for specific reasons. You wanted to avoid synthetic growth hormones that disrupt endocrine function. You wanted to avoid antibiotic residues that contribute to resistant bacteria. You wanted milk free from the pesticide-laden feed that conventional cows consume daily. Instead, you may have been drinking the exact product you were paying a premium to escape. For anyone who switched to organic specifically to avoid hormone disruptors that interfere with thyroid medication, or people who chose organic because their doctor recommended reducing chemical exposure after a diagnosis, this kind of fraud means you were unknowingly consuming the very contaminants you were paying to avoid. Every carton was a lie. Every premium dollar was stolen trust. Natural Prairie didn't just break the rules. They proved that without rigorous verification, the organic seal is only as honest as the company behind it. The most expensive brand on this list, the most dishonest product in this entire industry, and the reason you should never trust a label without knowing exactly what's behind it. What's the worst organic milk experience you've ever had? Drop it below. Let's see how many of us have been paying for a label instead of real milk. 9 brands. 9 broken promises. From Shamrock's industrial feedlot hiding behind a clover, to Aurora's willful violations supplying your grocery store, to Natural Prairie's outright fraud putting conventional milk in organic cartons. That's what's been sitting in your refrigerator. That's what you've been pouring for your family. But don't abandon organic dairy entirely. 4 brands prove it's still possible to get clean, honest, nutrient-dense milk from cows that actually live the life the organic label promises. Go check your fridge right now. If you see any of these 9 brands, it's time to switch. Your next glass deserves better. Alexander Family Farm, a certified organic and regenerative pasture-based dairy in Northern California where the cows actually graze on real land, not technically, not minimally, year-round on diverse, pesticide-free pastures the way dairy farming was meant to work. That distinction matters because everything about the milk changes when cows eat what nature intended them to eat. Alexander holds both USDA Organic and Real Organic Project certification. That second certification exists specifically because USDA Organic alone wasn't enough to guarantee genuine pasture access. The Real Organic Project verifies what the USDA label should mean, but too often doesn't. Independent lab testing confirms the difference you can taste and measure. Exceptionally high omega-3 and CLA levels with no detectable pesticide residues in any batch tested. Pour a glass. Notice the color, a rich, warm, golden cream that reflects beta-carotene absorbed from real grass. The taste is fuller, rounder, with a natural sweetness that comes from healthy cows and clean pastures. Compare it to any brand on our avoid list, and the difference hits you immediately. This isn't clever marketing. This is biology doing what it does when farming is done right. For anyone focused on cardiovascular health, or people looking to reduce the chronic inflammation underlying arthritis and cognitive decline, the superior omega-3 content in Alexander's milk is actively working for your body instead of against it. Every glass delivers what the brands on our avoid list only promise on their labels. 2 certifications. Published lab results. Verified pasture access. This is what organic was always supposed to mean. Maple Hill Organic, America's first 100% grass-fed organic dairy brand. That distinction isn't a marketing phrase. It means their cows eat only grass and forage throughout their entire lives. Zero grain supplementation, ever. Most organic dairies feed cows organic grain to boost milk production and cut costs. The cows produce more volume, but the nutritional quality drops significantly. Maple Hill rejected that trade-off entirely. Their milk carries dual certification from USDA Organic and the American Grass-Fed Association, 2 independent bodies verifying the same claim. Nutritional analyses consistently show 2 to 5 times more omega-3s and CLA than conventional organic milk. 2 to 5 times. That's not a marginal improvement. That's a fundamentally different product with fundamentally different health benefits. Open a bottle of Maple Hill. The cream line is visible, thick, naturally separated at the top. The color is noticeably deeper than conventional organic. The flavor carries a complexity, a slight sweetness, a richness that comes from diverse forage rather than grain feed. This is milk that tastes the way your grandparents remember milk tasting before industrial farming changed everything. For anyone focused on maintaining healthier cholesterol ratios as they age, or families who want milk that delivers real nutritional value instead of just an organic sticker on the carton, the anti-inflammatory fatty acid profile in Maple Hill's products reflects what peer-reviewed research says matters for long-term cardiovascular and cognitive health. You can taste the difference in every sip. 100% grass-fed, verified, tested. The difference you can measure and taste in every glass. Strauss Family Creamery, a small, family-owned operation in Northern California that was the first certified organic dairy west of the Mississippi River. They process milk in glass bottles with minimal pasteurization, not ultra-pasteurized into oblivion like Kirkland and Organic Valley's single-serve lines. Gently pasteurized to preserve what actually makes milk nutritious in the first place. Their facility undergoes rigorous third-party organic inspections every year. They publish farm practices and herd health records for anyone to review. Full transparency at every level. You want to know what the cows ate last month? They'll tell you. You want to see the inspection results? They're published and available. They maintain non-homogenized processing, which means the cream rises naturally to the top of the bottle. That cream layer you see when you open a bottle of Strauss isn't a gimmick. It's proof that the natural fat structure hasn't been mechanically shattered into particles too small to separate. That preserved structure matters because it keeps fat-soluble vitamins A, D, and K2 intact and bioavailable for your body to absorb. Those vitamins are critical for calcium absorption and bone density maintenance throughout your life. For anyone concerned about maintaining bone strength over the years, or families who want milk in its most natural, commercially available form, Strauss delivers what Kirkland and Horizon strip away through industrial processing. The difference between Strauss and the ultra-pasteurized brands on our avoid list isn't subtle. It's fundamental. Glass bottles, minimal processing, published records, complete traceability. This is dairy transparency done right. Organic Pastures, a California-based dairy selling raw and lightly pasteurized organic milk from cows raised entirely on open pasture with no grain finishing at any point. This is as close to milk straight from the cow as commercially available dairy gets in America today. The company publishes ongoing third-party lab results for every batch. Not annual testing, not quarterly. Ongoing verification that you can check yourself. Undetectable pesticide levels, no antibiotic residues, and high counts of beneficial probiotics and enzymes in every single batch they produce. Those enzymes matter more than most people realize. Lactase, the enzyme that breaks down lactose, occurs naturally in raw and lightly pasteurized milk, but gets destroyed by the ultra-high temperatures used by brands like Kirkland and Horizon. For anyone developing lactose sensitivity with age, or families with children who struggle with dairy digestion, Those retained enzymes can make the difference between enjoying milk comfortably and suffering through every glass. The naturally occurring probiotics support gut health in ways that ultra-pasteurized milk simply cannot replicate. Pour a glass and notice the texture immediately. Richer, creamier, more substantial on your tongue. This isn't milk that's been sterilized, homogenized, and processed into a pale shadow of what dairy should be. For anyone focused on digestive health, or people taking heart and bone medications that depend on efficient gut absorption to work properly, the probiotics and enzymes in organic pastures milk support the very biological systems that make those medications effective. Published lab results. Open pasture verification. Living milk with living benefits. This is what you were searching for when you first reached for organic. 9 brands exposed. 4 clean alternatives proven. Your morning glass should be nourishment, not deception. Subscribe now. And if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.